Hey everybody, let's use Photoshop to explore making geometric versus organic shapes. For our geometric shapes, we can use the rectangle, rounded rectangle, ellipse, or polygon tool. I'm not going to use the line or the custom shape tool, particularly because the custom shape tool are more like symbols. So I'm going to stick to these simple geometric forms, and I have a green fill and a violet stroke line at 2.5 points. So let me delete that and start again. I'm going to draw a long, narrow rectangle, or if I want, I can hold my shift key down and draw a perfect square. And the same is true of, the rounded rectangle or the ellipse. I can do, a long shape, I can do a thin shape, or I can also hold my shift key down and draw a circle. But I held my shift key down while this one, before I released that one, so I'm going to hit Command Z to go back, click on the background to release that, now go back in, so that if I hold my shift key down to draw that shape, it's not, it's still ending up in the same layer. Why? How can I tell that? If I move the shapes, they're moving together. So Command Z again, delete that, and let me click on the background and try that one more time. So sometimes there are little details with Photoshop or Illustrator that you really need to study. Hold my shift key down, and now I've got it in a separate shape. So using the Move tool, the black arrow to click on the background will release a shape. So I can also use the Polygon tool. I'm going to show you something about that, explaining what I do here. As I draw the shape, I'm rotating or dragging my fingers across the trackpad in a circular form. See that? And it's changing the rotation of it. And if I shrink it down by moving in, stretching out, it gets bigger or smaller, right? And now I release, and now it's the shape that I want. If I don't like the direction of it, I can delete it and start again. Same thing. Take the Shapes tool, the Polygon, draw the shape, rotate it until I feel like it's level. Now I've got that shape the way I want. And I can also combine elements. So say I want to combine a couple of these shapes together to create a more complex shape. I can do that. Notice that I'm aligning it with the arrow. The guidelines are aligning it. So I have a kind of a unique shape. I want to use that. It's still a geometric shape, but I want to use the polygon and my rectangle one. Now let me stretch this out. And what we can do is hide all the other layers. This one, notice that they disappear one by one when I close the eye. And I also want to close the background because I don't want my shapes to merge with the background. I'm going to undock this, drag this up so you can see it. Here's this little line, this set of lines and a little arrow. Click on that, and now I want to merge visible. That way, those shapes will be together as one form. And notice if I take my arrow, I can move it around, and it is now a unit. It's going to operate together as one shape. Now it's still a geometric shape, but notice how I open all my other eye, and now I've got all those shapes individually. I can also use my pen tool to create another kind of a shape. Click, click. Notice I'm only getting the stroke. Click again, and then I want to click that last point to enclose it, and now I have a triangle. That's still a geometric shape. How do I make organic shapes? Let me just move this over here into line with the other geometric shapes, and I'm going to take my pen tool. First I need to get my Move tool, click on the background to release that other shape, come back to this. Notice that the stroke line, the points, the anchor points are no longer active, so I know I'm going to create a new layer. I can start to make some interesting shapes by dragging and stretching until I get something that I think is kind of interesting. Now I'm going to click on the Marquee tool, or click on the Move tool, release it, and so now I have the shape released, but I'm going to click on it, so I activate that shape layer, or I can click on that shape layer. I'm going to go into Edit, Transform, and this one's fun. Warp is great because you can make really interesting organic shapes by stretching things out and adjusting these anchor points to get some unique shapes for your composition. I like one lined up so it looks more enclosed. I'm going to click my marquee tool to release it and bring up the transformation application. Click on that. Now I have a really cool organic shape. I can also use my freeform pen tool and draw simple shape like that. It's organic. It's not perfect, smooth like a geometry form. Click on my move tool, release it. I can play around with my shapes tool. I've got to release that again because it did activate those points, so I want to make sure I am completely out of that before I do another one. Okay. Create a wavy line. Now if we're using my stylus and pen, I could probably control that a little bit more easily, but I still have now 3 organic shapes, and I could use the transform tool to modify them even further. I can also use the transform tool to push around and warp and distort some of the geometric shapes to get an organic shape. I can also use my brush to create some organic shapes. Now it won't let me unless I rasterize it, so instead I'm going to add a new layer and notice that I can draw a shape with what kind of a brush do I have? Well, it's number 45. Click here and notice it's this kind of a shape. It's like a marker looking shape. I can also select a whole variety of different kinds of shapes in this in the brush tool to give me a lot of options that will give me ideas for creating my design. I don't want to use, the grass or the leaves because those are really stock shapes. I'm just going to take a different shape here, create a different shape, just a couple of squiggly lines, very simple, and then I can go with my color fill, change the color, add a different color inside different areas to create another kind of an organic shape that it becomes a kind of a personality or a character or something that could give me ideas for creating a design. So lots of different ways to create geometric and organic shapes using Photoshop.